You wake up, grab your phone, open your credit app and suddenly your score has dropped. Not by a few points, but 30, 40, even 60 points overnight. And the first thing that runs through your mind is, what did I do wrong? But here's the scary part. You didn't do anything. You didn't miss a payment. You didn't apply for a loan. You didn't max out your credit cards yet. Your score still dropped like a rock. And this isn't rare. It happens to millions of people every single day, silently, without warning. What's even worse is most people never figure out the real reason, so they either ignore it or panic and make things even worse. But what if I told you your credit score is not just controlled by your actions, but by a system that updates constantly behind the scenes, reacting to things you don't even see? In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why your credit score can drop overnight even if you did nothing wrong, and more importantly, how you can fix it and protect yourself from it happening again. Because once you understand what's really going on, you stop guessing and you start controlling your score instead of letting it control you. Most people believe their credit score only changes when they actively use credit, like swiping a card, taking a loan, or missing a payment. That sounds logical, right? But the reality is very different. Your credit score is more like a live system, constantly updating based on new data being reported by banks, lenders, and credit bureaus. Even when you're not doing anything, your financial profile is still moving in the background. A balance can get reported at the wrong time. A lender can reduce your credit limit without telling you. An old account can suddenly close, or even someone else's activity can impact your score if you're connected to them. And the problem is, these changes don't come with notifications or explanations. You just see the number drop and you're left confused. That's why in this video, we're going to uncover the hidden factors most people never talk about. I'll walk you through the exact reasons your score can drop overnight, with real-world examples, so you can recognize what's happening in your own situation. And I'll show you simple, practical steps you can take immediately to fix the damage and prevent future drops. By the end of this video, you won't just understand why your score dropped, to know exactly how to stay in control of it. The first reason your credit score can drop overnight is something called credit utilization. And this is one of the most misunderstood factors. Credit utilization simply means how much of your available credit you're using at a given time. Now here's where it gets tricky. Your score doesn't care when you pay your bill. It cares about what balance gets reported to the credit bureaus. For example, let's say you have a $1,000 limit and you spend $800 during the month. Even if you pay it off in full before the due date, if your lender reports that $800 balance before your payment is processed, your utilization appears at 80%, which is considered very high, and that alone can cause your score to drop significantly overnight. The system assumes you're heavily reliant on credit, even if that's not the case. This is why some people see sudden drops without changing their behavior at all. The fix here is simple but powerful. Pay your balance before the statement closing date, not just the due date. Keeping your utilization under 30%, ideally under 10%, can protect your score from these sudden fluctuations. The second reason could be someone else's behavior, specifically if you were an authorized user on another person's credit card. Many people don't realize that being an authorized user means that account activity becomes part of your credit profile. That can be a good thing if the primary user is responsible, but it can backfire quickly if they're not. Imagine you're added to a family member's credit card to help build your credit. Everything looks fine at first, but then they suddenly rack up a large balance or miss a payment. Even though you didn't spend a single dollar, your credit score can drop because that account is linked to you. From the credit bureau's perspective, it doesn't matter who made the purchase, it just sees increased risk. This can feel unfair, but it's how the system works. If you suspect this is the reason behind your score drop, review all accounts where you're listed as an authorized user. If necessary, you can remove yourself from the account, and in many cases, the negative impact will disappear from your report over time. Always be cautious about whose credit you attach your name to. Another hidden reason for a sudden drop is a credit limit decrease. Yes, lenders can reduce your credit limit without warning, and when they do, it can instantly impact your utilization ratio. Let's say you had a credit card with a $5,000 limit and a $1,000 balance. That's a healthy 20% utilization. But if the bank decides to reduce your limit to $2,000, your same $1,000 balance now becomes 50% utilization. Overnight, your credit profile looks riskier, even though your spending hasn't changed at all. This can happen for several reasons. Inactivity on the account, changes in the lender's policies, or even shifts in the overall economy. Unfortunately, most people don't notice this until after their score drops. The best way to protect yourself is to regularly check your credit card limits and stay active on your accounts with small, manageable purchases. If your limit does get reduced, you can contact your lender and request a review or reinstatement. Sometimes they'll reverse the decision, especially if you have a strong payment history. The fourth reason is account closures. And this is another factor that often happens behind the scenes. Credit card companies can close your account if it's been inactive for too long. And when that happens, it can affect two important parts of your credit score: your total available credit and your credit history length. When an account closes, your overall credit limit decreases, which can increase your utilization ratio. At the same time, if that account was one of your older accounts, it can reduce the average age of your credit history. Both of these changes can lead to a noticeable drop in your score. What makes this frustrating is that you may not even realize the account was closed until after the damage is done. To avoid this, it's a good idea to keep your accounts active by using them occasionally, even for small purchases like a subscription or a monthly bill. This keeps the account open and contributing positively to your credit profile. The fifth reason involves credit inquiries, both hard and soft, that you may not have noticed. A hard inquiry usually happens when you apply for new credit, like a loan or credit card, and it can slightly lower your score. But sometimes, inquiries can appear in situations you didn't expect, such as background checks, pre-approved offers, or even errors. In rare cases, it could be a sign of identity theft. While a single inquiry doesn't cause a huge drop, multiple inquiries in a short period can signal risk to lenders and bring your score down. That's why it's important to regularly review your credit report and look for any unfamiliar activity. If you see an inquiry you don't recognize, don't ignore it, investigate immediately. You can dispute unauthorized inquiries and even place a fraud alert on your credit file if needed. Staying aware of these small changes can prevent bigger problems down the line. The sixth reason is a late payment being reported. If you believe you paid on time, this often comes down to timing and processing delays. For example, if you make a payment on the due date but it gets processed after the cutoff time, it might still be reported as late. Similarly, weekends, holidays, or technical issues can delay processing. Once a payment is reported as late, it can have a significant impact on your credit score, especially if you had a clean history before. The system is very sensitive to payment behavior because it's one of the strongest indicators of risk. To avoid this situation, it's best to set up automatic payments for at least the minimum amount due, and ideally pay a few days before the deadline. This creates a buffer and ensures your payment is always processed on time. Consistency is key when it comes to protecting your score. The seventh reason is something you have absolutely no control over: changes in credit scoring models. Credit scores are calculated using complex algorithms, and these models are updated periodically. When that happens, certain factors may be weighted differently. For example, a new model might place more emphasis on utilization or recent activity, which can cause your score to shift even if your behavior hasn't changed. This can feel confusing because nothing in your credit report looks different, yet your score moves. While these changes are usually not drastic, they can still cause noticeable fluctuations. The important thing to understand is that these updates are part of the system evolving over time. The best way to stay protected is to maintain strong overall credit habits, low balances, on-time payments, and a healthy mix of accounts. That way, regardless of how the model changes, your profile remains solid. The eighth reason is errors or old negative items reappearing on your credit report. This might sound surprising, but it happens more often than you think. Sometimes, due to reporting errors or data updates, a previously removed collection or late payment can show up again. When that happens, your score can drop suddenly without any new activity from your side. This is why regularly checking your credit report is so important. If you notice something that doesn't belong or has already been resolved, you have the right to dispute it with the credit bureaus. The process may take some time, but if the information is incorrect, it can be removed and your score can recover. Never assume your credit report is always accurate. Treat it like a financial record that needs occasional review. The ninth and most serious reason is identity theft or fraudulent activity. If your credit score drops suddenly and you see accounts or inquiries you don't recognize, this could be a red flag. Fraudsters can open accounts in your name, max out credit lines, and leave you dealing with the consequences. This type of activity can damage your credit quickly if not caught early. That's why it's crucial to act immediately if something feels off. You can place a credit freeze to prevent new accounts from being opened, report the fraud to the appropriate authorities, and dispute any unauthorized transactions. Many credit monitoring services also offer alerts to notify you of unusual activity. While this situation is more serious, the good news is that with quick action, the damage can often be reversed. Staying vigilant is your best defense. By now, you can see the truth: your credit score isn't just a number that changes when you take action. It's a living system, constantly updating in the background, reacting to things you don't always see or control. And that's exactly why so many people feel blindsided when their score suddenly drops. But here's the difference now. You're not in the dark anymore. You understand what's happening behind the scenes, and more importantly, you know how to respond. So if your score ever drops again, don't panic. Don't guess. Investigate. Check your utilization. Review your accounts. Look for changes, and act fast. Because in most cases, these drops are temporary and completely fixable if you catch them early. The real power isn't in having a perfect score. It's in understanding how the system works and using that knowledge to stay one step ahead. And remember, every smart move you make from this point forward compounds over time. Better habits lead to better scores. Better scores lead to better approvals, lower interest rates, and more financial freedom. That's the bigger picture. If you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe, because I break down credit strategies like this in the simplest way possible. And don't miss the next video on your screen, because that's where I show you exactly how to boost your credit score fast.